single day.
First things first, we're going to go ahead and turn on our camera. And depending on what mode you've been on some sort of auto mode on here. In this case, it's usually the green or the no flash option. What we're going to do is go ahead and push the button down, and we're going to navigate to the letter M. Under the letter M is considered the manual mode. This will allow us to change the 3 core settings on our camera, which is the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. Now, with the Canon 60D, it's a little bit faster and easier to change the settings. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to change ISO. To change the ISO value, there's this button up here that says ISO. So what you do is you press it, and when you press ISO, this little icon changes just to the actual ISO value. When you click on ISO, and it'll actually go back to the original. So I press ISO, I turn the top wheel and allow me to adjust the ISO value. Now, in short, the ISO value will typically be used to make pictures that are dark brighter. So that's how you adjust it. Press the ISO button and adjust it with this dial. Left and right will adjust it. I'm going to go ahead and set it back to 100. To get back to your normal screen settings, I just half press the shutter button and I'm back to all the information. The next setting is my shutter speed, which is designated by this number right here. The shutter speed is really easy to change. All you have to do is just turn this top wheel to the right or to the left. Shutter speed allows us to control and freeze or slow down action. So typically in sports photography, I'm going to use a faster shutter speed to freeze the sports action. So just understand in general for now that shutter speed has to do with freezing motion or letting motion blur at the same time. The last one is this one right here, where it says 5.0. That's the aperture value. To adjust that, all you need to do is rotate the rear wheel, or also called the back wheel, of the camera. And what you do is you just rotate it, and you'll see it change from left to right. So rotate left, it gets smaller. Rotate it clockwise, it gets bigger. Counterclockwise, smaller. This controls how much is in focus, usually, in the picture. So if you've ever seen portrait photos where the background is completely out of focus, your aperture value controls that ability for the most part. That's a simple way to put it. So those are your 3 settings. So quickly review. To change your ISO, which deals with brightness, you press the ISO button and then you turn the top wheel. To change your shutter speed, which is that number right there, we just turn this wheel on the top wheel. And to change our aperture value, which is at 2.0, we just rotate this back wheel here until we get the desired settings. And those are your exposure settings on the camera. Now, a couple other things I'm going to show you now is up here it says AI Servo. That mode is designated for taking sports pictures. So if you want to change it to just taking portraits of people or group pictures or just portraits, press the AF button. When you press the AF button, you'll see just AI Servo or whatever mode it is. Turn the wheel, the top wheel, and you'll see one shot, AI focus, and AI Servo. And that's how that works. Now, if you want to change the setting to take a lot of pictures fast or really slow, press the drive button, and then you can change the H button if you turn the top wheel from all these different settings. The single box, what that'll do is it'll tell the camera to take just one picture. If you change it to H with a lot of boxes, it'll take about 5.5 frames per second of pictures. So that's what that setting does. This last one right here, we're not really going to worry about that too much, but I'm just going to go ahead and turn it so that you can see the little dot and a little half circle kind of surrounding the top and bottom. And that's our typical settings for the camera. If you want to go ahead and adjust other settings on the Canon 60D, go ahead and press the Q button, which means quick menu. So if you press Q, you'll see a lot of these other settings at the back of the camera. And what you can do is you can press the joystick up and down to navigate and change settings. This is not the best way to do it. So that 800 that you see up here, that is our shutter speed, and you can see it here in the back with the quick menu. If you turn the top wheel, you can change it. If you navigate to the aperture, you can also change that by turning the top wheel. And then you can navigate to the ISO and you can change that too. Again, I don't recommend that. I do recommend you use these other buttons to do that, but this is visually helps you out. This button right here, this little bottom corner, changes the setting from RAW to JPEG. So if you want RAW pictures for this camera, turn the top wheel till RAW is selected, and then turn it back to the first one, which is the minus sign. Now, if you want JPEGs only, which is what you're going to be using for the most part, turn the bottom wheel, the back wheel, to just L, the first L right there, and then you're set to go. And that's it. That's kind of the basic setup for the camera. The last thing I'm going to show you is the focus points on the camera. To change the focus points, now if I zoom in on this, when you look inside the camera, you're going to see all these boxes inside of the viewfinder. Now to change the focus points in the viewfinder, you go ahead, and the best way to do this is to show you. Just press up or down or left and right, and you can see the little box move to a new spot. And that's how you pick a different focus point. I'm not going to explain why you need to pick a different focus point, but that's how you would change it. Now if you're taking pictures, what you do is, to change your focus points quickly, you press this focus selector button right here. You press this, and then you'll be able to adjust it inside of the viewfinder. So what I do is I press this button while I'm looking inside of the viewfinder. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in here. Probably not, but we'll see. When you press that button, you're gonna see a red light inside of the camera, and that light is where your focus point is at. Now if you click on it, it'll blink, and then you can actually move it with the joystick. You see how it's moving up and down and left and right inside of the camera. And if you press down if you keep pressing the down stick, you'll see it auto mode. You don't usually want that. If you want the middle, just press the set button and it'll go to the very center. So what I do is, like I said earlier, I'll press this button over here, and when I press it, you'll see it light up inside of the camera, if I can get it to work. It's a lot harder than I thought. And then just move the joystick to the spot you need it to be. And that's it. That's how you change the focus point on the Canon 60D. And I think that is going to be enough. Just remember with your lens, to change a lens on the Canon 60D, I'll go over that now too. It's like opening a jar. So what I do is I press this button that's on the side while I'm supporting the camera. I push it down, and then I open the lens like if I was gonna open a jar, and it removes the lens. Now you never want to keep the lens up like this because things will fall in here and it could damage the camera. Now there's this little dot on the camera lens. It could be red, it could be white. What you want to do is match it up. Match it up to the color. So there's a red dot. You're going to match it up. You're going to position it, and you should see the lens flush, really flush on there, meaning it looks like it's supposed to fit there. Once you have it set, you're going to close the jar. And then you should hear a little click, and that means the lens has been changed. I'm going to show you the menu system really quick. I clicked the menu button on the back of the camera, and you'll notice that there's a variety of menu options that are being shown. To navigate this, you can just turn the top wheel of your camera and you'll navigate through the settings. The very beginning settings show you the JPEG options, the beep sound. So right now the camera is set to make a beep sound in the one-shot mode. You'll hear a little beep. If you want to turn that beep off, just go to beep and then disable it by pressing the set button. I'm going to leave it on for now. There's other options here. Most of them we don't really mess around with. Over here, you don't have to mess around with these too much. And the one we usually look at is this wrench here, the first wrench, because the format option's selected right there. So we navigate to format, press the set button, and then we can go ahead and format the card so it's ready for the next person. We can keep going down, check the other settings. You can change the LCD brightness value by clicking there and changing and adjusting how bright the picture looks. This will be helpful if you're taking pictures in the sunlight. And then that's it. Those are kind of the key settings that I'd like you to take a look at on the menu system. All right, so that is the Canon 60D. It is a bit of information, so practice and learn how all those different functions work.